What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. Welcome to my Week 6 daily fantasy football picks video. Before I get into my picks, I want to congratulate last week's winner in the Fantasy Couch contest. Congrats, Laydon. He already hit me up. He's getting a Bart Star jersey. This week, I'm having the same contest. All right, so it's $2 to enter, 110 entries. First place, I'll be given an NFL jersey of your choice. And if you've never played on FanDuel and you play in this tournament, my Week 6 tournament, I'll be giving a Fantasy Couch promo pack to you. Contains sunglasses and stickers. That's right, anybody that enters first time playing on FanDuel, you'll get that win or lose. Top 25 contestants also get a cash prize. To enter, all you have to do is follow the link below. If you don't have an account, sign up. Use promo code FANTASYCOUCH. Should already be there, but just in case, make sure you're using that code. And that's it. It's real simple, beginner-friendly contest. Make sure you guys enter because spots fill up real fast, guys. All right, let's get into my picks for Week 6. That rhymes. Let's start off with a cheap kicker and a cheap defense. You know how we always do. That way it gives us a better idea of our average remaining salary. If my favorite kicker at minimum price, we always take in a minimum price kicker, is actually, it might be a surprise, Ryan Suckup, the Tennessee Titans kicker. He's actually decent accuracy. It's just that the Titans haven't been producing a solid fantasy kicker the past year or two. But I think this matchup against the Browns is really good at 4,500. If you want to change it up a little bit in an alternate lineup, you could go with Nick Novak, also minimum price. My top two favorite kickers this week is Stephen Gostkowski at 5,000 and Justin Tucker at 4,900. Both those guys are amazing, talented kickers, should put up a ton of fantasy points this week, but they're too expensive, so we only want to spend up there on kicker if we have a ton of remaining salary left over. So for defenses, I actually, I'm really good at picking these super cheap defenses in these videos, but this week and also last week, I like the Vikings D. That was definitely worth spending up on. This week is the same type of deal. So I love the Titans defense at 4,700. They're a great value. There's some other options. Patriots at the same price. Bills defense is really good at only 100 more. So that's 4,800 facing the 49ers. I'd say that there's a lot of upside. It's a great defense pick for DFS this week, but because they play Niners and the quarterback's different, the risk does increase. So they can actually be a better defense with Kaepernick, but if Kaepernick puts up some points, plays better than Gabbert, then they may actually be worse. So it's a little bit more volatile. Still a great pick though. And of course the Steelers defense playing against a terrible Miami Dolphins team. They're 4,800 as well. Like I said before, I think the best value defense is the Titans. So let's go ahead and put Suckup and the Titans D in there, and then we can change it later if we need to. Let's go up to quarterbacks. My favorite quarterback in cash games is Drew Brees, period. He's 8,500. Saints are playing at home. It's just a great pick, and the Saints are going to have to throw the ball because the Panthers will likely be able to score. Slated to be a very high game, and just about any team could score on the Saints, that horrible defense. Palmer's pretty good at 7,700. Dak Prescott, he's got a pretty high floor, which means he's pretty safe at 7,200. I really like Brian Hoyer at 7,000. That's going to be one of those cheap, great value picks. Alex Smith at 6,800 is a guy that, a lot of people have been writing about online and talking about, and a guy you may notice. I don't like him that much in a game where there could be a lot of wind. It could be rainy. I think his upside, or in other words, his ceiling is going to be a bit limited. So I see him only as, a 6,800, just really a cheap buy. I'd rather spend another 200 and go with Hoyer in a great matchup versus Jacksonville. I think Kaepernick at 6,400 may even be more worth it than Alex Smith if you're able to really utilize that 400. Let's say you really needed that to get another player that you really wanted. But like I said before, I'm sticking with Breeze as my cash lineup. I just wanted to discuss some other options and give you some cheaper options as well at quarterback, and which would likely be Hoyer. I like him at 7,000 if you want to spend less. For running backs, my favorite running back is LaShawn McCoy. And we don't want to overlook Le'Veon Bell. That price tag is way too high. But still, if you can fit him in, man. There is no running back that's better in DFS. He has such a high floor, such a high ceiling, just like his teammate Antonio Brown. Same deal. He did so well against the Jets. I don't even think he scored a touchdown last week. But against the Jets, he put up huge numbers. But I got LaShawn McCoy and Kristen Michael as two guys that are cheaper. I like those guys. Jamal Charles at 7,100. He is a little bit of risk to start him. Let's say if you only had one cash lineup, that may not be the guy you want to put in there because there is a little bit risk in his first real game back. I know he played in week 4, but he was kind of rushed back and didn't really play much. So this is the real Jamal Charles that we might see week 6. I do like him enough to put him in my cash lineups, but I usually enter about 4 different lineups. They're usually really similar. So I'm not going to recommend that you start Jamal Charles in every cash lineup, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to start him in cash games. So I do see him making it in some of my cash lineups this week. I also like Mark Ingram because of his price. 6,700 is really good. I'm not sold on the Panthers being a great rush defense by any means, so I think it's a decent matchup. The Saints at home versus the Panthers. If you want to go a little cheaper, you can go with Frank Gore or Jonathan Stewart, but man, is Jonathan Stewart risky in his first game back. You may need to do a little bit of research, see how he's practicing, see if Cameron Artis-Payne is active, Mike Tolbert is active, Fozzie Whitaker is active. You know, all that stuff can affect his value. For instance, if we see that Cameron Artis-Payne is inactive or a healthy scratch, then Jonathan Stewart's value goes up. That shows that he's likely going to be the workhorse. So there is some risk there, of course, and then there's always the chance that Cam Newton or someone vultures his touchdowns. Darren Sproles is another cheap guy, but in GPPs as high-risk picks, I like Derrick Henry. He's not that good, but if the Titans do take an early lead, we may see a little bit more of Derrick Henry. So this is nothing more than a high-risk contrarian GPP crazy pick. Duke Johnson. Now here's a sneaky one right here for only 5,100, the cheapest running back I have. Very sneaky. I think it's the same game here. I think the Browns are going to have to throw the ball a lot. Duke Johnson has been getting a little bit of targets, not been doing great, but if he can sneak in the end zone, man, that's going to be a great GPP sneaky start for your team. For wide receivers, I won't try to take up too much time on these guys because there's so many. I narrowed down a lot of my other positions, but there's so many wide receivers you can pick from. It's really going to be what you can afford in your salary cap. So I love Antonio Brown, of course, 9,700. His price is very much worth it in a land of so many wide receivers and so much uncertainty. I do like Antonio Brown if you can sneak him in there. DeAndre Hopkins is okay. T.Y. Hilton's okay. But for GPPs, and these guys are nothing more than GPPs, I actually really like Allen Robinson this week, but his price tag is so high that I see him being a little bit contrarian. So Allen Robinson, A.J. Green, and Odell Beckham, those three I consider more GPP plays. I don't see a lot of people picking them. And A.J. Green is just, he's so risky, you know. Playing against the Patriots, if they're able to zero in on him and stop him, I think that's going to be key to winning the game. Those three guys are more tournament plays. Kelvin Benjamin's pretty good at 7,800. John Brown's good. I really like Sammy Coates at only 6,400. I like him so much that, you know, it's probably not gonna happen, but I wouldn't be too opposed to starting both Antonio Brown and Sammy Coates, even in a cash lineup where I don't like to be risky. I wouldn't be too opposed to that. For cheaper options to save money, because I know I mentioned some really expensive guys in this video, we have Michael Thomas at 5,400. I don't think there's been a week I have not talked about Michael Thomas. I think I even talked about him when he was on bye. Cameron Meredith, 5,400. And a super sneaky punt. You're gonna like this one, guys. Brian Quick. Yeah, he doesn't get a lot of targets, a lot of receptions, but he's got a pretty good matchup there against Detroit. My tight ends, my number one tight end this week is actually Greg Olsen facing the Saints, 8,100. Jimmy Graham is a risky pick at 6,900, but a guy I really like. Pretty good floor, pretty good ceiling, if we can put such a thing on these unpredictable tight ends. Delaney Walker against the Browns, only 6,700. That's not bad. There's a lot of other options. One that sticks out to me, here's a couple more that stick out to me. Dennis Pitt at 5,400 should have a really good game. Richard Rodgers is pretty good in GPPs at only 5,100 with Jared Cook out. That's nothing more than a GPP play. And if you want to punt, I have some really good options. These two guys are really good punts at tight end. Might be overlooked a little bit. Lance Kendricks, 4,500, has a great matchup. The Lions' pass defense is not great, and they are not good against tight ends in fantasy, guys. So Lance Kendricks, you know, Rams don't have a lot of upside, but at 4,500, that's not that bad. Also, Vernon Davis at 4,500 playing against the Eagles. Now, I expect Jordan Reed to be out with a concussion. Therefore, Vernon Davis will be the starter. And those are all my picks for week 6. Make sure you guys enter the contest. Good luck this week. I'll be entering in it. Also, the co-host of the podcast that I host, Couchcast, which airs every early Wednesday morning. The co-host, Mike Mattal, will also be playing. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you guys know Scout, he'll also be playing this week. So I'll see you on the contest. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If I have some picks that you think I missed or you have any fantasy questions, just leave a comment below. I read every comment. I'll see you guys on the next video.